Hey there. I'm not sure who's all going to show up tonight. It has been forever and 20 million years since I've been live. So I get it. Y'all are probably like, girl, now you show up with all of this going on. So for whomever here is here, thank you very much for being here. Let the people know that we are out here and we're chatting. We're chatting. Let me make sure I believe that we're fine over here on X as well. Let me just make sure that X is doing what it needs to do. Join. Okay, perf. It is doing what it needs to do. I love it. All right. Um, I appreciate you guys being over there on X and I appreciate you guys being here. It's been a while, hasn't it? It has been a while. I've been doing a lot of things and I will let you all know about that in the very near future. If you follow me on Insta or you follow me on LinkedIn, you'll know, or Facebook, you'll know some of the other things that I'm doing business wise. But we are here tonight to talk about Cassie. We're here tonight to talk about Cassie, about Diddy, about all of the things. Um, we're here to talk about the potential uh, actual magic that is being done, the narcissism, all of these things. So I should probably locate a banner somewhere pretty quick. Hey, let me find a banner. Um, and this is going to be the first banner we'll show, and then we'll be going to show a second banner. You guys, let me know if you can hear me. It's been a minute, so let me know over here on YouTube if you can hear me. On X, hopefully I'll be able to somehow see the live chat. Yep, there we go. So let me know if you guys can hear me everywhere. I'm gonna go and make sure I'm um, looking at myself and what's happening over here for. Yep, perfect. Okay, and hit the like button. I know I'm on late. I know. I mean, you might be like, girl, what right do you have to ask me about the live button? I want you. I want to know. So over on X, hello to everybody over there. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Um, so this is all going to be my opinion. And everything that has been thus far stated by Cassie during the trial, of course, is alleged. I do want to make sure that I did at my good friend. Um, I gotta find him. I was watching, as most of you guys know at this point. Oops, told. Let's not do this. As most of you guys know by this point, I am friends with Armand Wiggins, and I really want to be sure that I give him all of the uh, glory on this. He's out there in New York, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know how many of you guys put a one in the chat, either on X or on YouTube. If you guys watched any of the trial, like through text or the tweets and everything, like there are various channels that are like tweeting about this and like refreshing the feeds. Because as you know, or some of you may know, some of you may not know, when you are in federal um, court, there are no cameras, and then the press can't even, like, there's no audio, and so you have to have press pass in order to be able to literally live tweet. Like, they don't, the onlookers just in the courtroom can't even bring in their phones, they can't bring in their laptops, they can't bring in anything, right? So they all have to take notes, and then we're like watching these tweets as they're coming in, and like NBC is there, and ABC and USA Today, and the New York Times and everything, and they're giving updates as to what's being said from the stand. And today, on day 2 already, like the prosecution wasted no time, and they called Cassie. And as a lot of you guys know, Cassie Ventura is big pregnant. Okay, Cassie Ventura is big pregnant. And I think it's super important to remember that fact, that she is big pregnant. And because she's pregnant, um, because she's pregnant, that's gonna, like, they had to get her in quick because she's like literally about to have the baby any day. So here we have the woman who kicked this all off, as they say, back in, what was it, November of last year when she filed? Was it back in November of last year when she filed? Um, and she kicked this all off, and she filed suit. She had already been in a lot of, negotiations with Diddy before then, her and her lawyers. And I don't think Diddy thought she was going to file. It wasn't last November, maybe it was but November before last. And when she filed that lawsuit, I don't think anybody, like, he didn't believe she was going to, and it was earth shattering. It was earth shattering. He did not think she was going to make it by the time the New York State, they had extended the time period which you could file a civil suit for things like essay and things like that that had happened to her. However, so she made it though, right? She got there. And welcome everybody that's over there on X. I think X is carrying it. Hello, those of you here on YouTube. But I feel like my X feed is carrying it. Hey guys, drop something in the chat. Say something there. Let me know you're here. I appreciate you so much. And so anywho's so here we are, and we're at this point now where she is literally, she kicked this off. She made this happen. And she got paid, and now we're here at this legal trial. And I'm watching these tweets, right? We're here because he's charged with RICO, racketeering, all this other stuff, trafficking, trafficking, and all kinds of craziness, right? And we're watching these tweets. And I'm going to tell you, honestly, during the daytime today, while I was watching this, I was like, I don't know. Like, it even had me doubting, even though we've seen the video and everything like that, it had me doubting a little bit whether or not she was a willing participant. And it wasn't until I watched Armand's feed, and I will put that in the description everywhere, and we'll post it again on X. It wasn't until I watched his take, because he was there in the courtroom, when I heard him say that she's a broken woman, that she's broken, that she's broken, that she's broken. I was like, this is insane. I felt horrible then for even thinking anything else. And then I'm listening to everything that she went through as a human being, that basically we're gonna talk about this, but let's be real. At this point, you can't listen to what was said. She basically was a prostitute, only a prostitute that loved her pimp. That's the real deal. She's a prostitute that loved her pimp. And there's something that breaks in people's minds, and we're going to go over that big time right now. I'm just posting this on YouTube so people know that I'm live. Anyway, let's talk about this. And I want to talk about the Magick that's involved. I'm trying to let some more people get in here before we get into the Magick conversation. But I also don't want to be on here all night because I have more work to do, guys. I might see if I can share something with you that I saved, because it's a really interesting concept of how to break somebody, how to break a woman. And so hang on one second. Yep, here it is right here. So I'm going to share this while we're waiting for more people to come in on YouTube. And we'll wait for a few more people to pop in over here on X. And then you do not want to walk away, because I'm going to talk about the magic. I'm going to talk about the Magick. I'm going to talk about the rituals, because there's some things that were said today that I was like, what the frick? And so once I did some more investigation, it made perfect sense. So let me share this my screen on X, because I want you guys to see. Let me share audio just in case. I want you guys to see how this was such a good post about how you break a woman. Okay. Um, yeah. Okay, got it. Okay. So this is from Seduction Sage. Okay. I don't know if follow them, but this is what. So destroying her ego is key to attraction. Want her obsessed? Break her ego and she'll crave your validation. Why is this important? Because what my good friend Armand said over and over and over again was she said is I only did this because I loved him. I did this because I loved him. I did this because I loved him. I didn't want to make him angry. I didn't want to make him upset. I did this because I loved him. That's in like crazy work, right? It's just crazy to think that she craved his validation so much so that she was willing, that she eventually broke down, and then he was able to break her, and then he was able to do these things to her. Here's how to shatter her ego and reel her in. One, let me make this bigger so y'all can see it. Okay. One, don't compliment her looks. Okay, don't compliment her looks. Everyone treats her like she's the hottest thing around. You're different. Don't feed into her delusion. Complimenting her looks only boosts her ego. Save your praise for moments when she truly earns it through effort and behavior. What did Diddy do to her? He kept saying to her, you got to get your hair now, da 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 da. You got to be tan. You got to be this. You got to that. Like, he didn't praise her looks. He kept telling her she wasn't good enough. Okay. 2, don't seek her validation. Validation seeking inflates your ego faster than anything. Most guys look to women for approval like lost puppies. You're above that. The second you stop chasing her validation, she'll chase yours. Let her work for your approval. Let me tell you how the narcissist does this. The narcissist plays victim. The narcissist then says, "Oh, I'm so he doesn't really seek validation. He seeks comfort. He attaches himself to the maternal side. He says, I'm going to share something with you I've never shared with anybody else. And this is so like, right? They seek to be extremely vulnerable, but they're not really seeking your validation for it. They're just saying, this is something that I like. This is something that I want. I don't want you talking to other men because it makes me feel like this. I don't want you talking to because you're mine. I love you so much. I don't want to see them use you. Never ask for commitment. Women love to box men into commitment. Don't fall for it. What did Cassie say? That she thought that they were what? That they were monogamous. And they were anything from it. They were far from it. One day she finds out that they're not. How she thought that they were monogamous when they were bringing everybody in, I guess because they were all men, but this is whatever. The less you care, right, the more she will. This is how you break. This is a tweet from, or an X from Seduction Sage that starts out how to break. I found this and I was like, holy crap. Destroying her ego is the key to attraction. So this is how you destroy somebody's woman's ego from a man's perspective. Put your goals above her. Skip dates, cancel plans, miss calls. Basically, right? You control the pace and the cadence. Okay. Make sure she knows she's not your number one priority. There's so many points where he denigrated her, he degraded her, he just made her feel like she was less than. And it was easy because there was such a huge age gap, right? She was 19 when they first got together. Outdress her. I don't know if I glance at other women. I don't think that never show jealousy. So, these are some of the things that if like a normal man, right? But anyway, the first main things that I wanted to cover were these 2 things because they were so poignant, right? Don't compliment her on her looks. Don't seek her validation. Those are the top 2 things that you can do to end up getting somebody, right? Into like getting them obsessed. Like you start breaking them down. The narcissist does that on 20. The narcissist does that by literally love bombing, so making you feel like you're the greatest person in the world, saying that their exes or whatever, even their current, if you start out as the side chick, and I'm going to speak men to women to men, I'm going to speak about that heterosexual dynamic. This could be the same thing, even if it's same gender loving. It's going to be whoever has the, it's the weaker, I don't want to say weaker, the more feminine, empathic energy versus a more aggressive or masculine energy. So a more empathic and then a less empathic, but less empathic to the point that they're narcissistic. They have no empathy for anyone. So this is empath narcissist. It really doesn't necessarily matter the gender. It just matters the energy. But I'm going to be speaking of it from a female to male, male to female relationship, because honestly, I've experienced that as well. So from that perspective, he love bums her, makes her think she's all that, has her sign a 10 record deal. He knew that girl wasn't never gonna make no damn going 10 records. Hey Tamika, how you doing? Um he he knew that girl wasn't gonna make no, he never planned on making no 10 records with that girl. Now you and I know that, but she didn't think that that was the case. She did not think that was the case. Why? Because she thought she was the only one. He first starts complimenting her in an off kind of way, right? Oh, you're this, you're that, the love bombing. And then he starts taking his love away, or he starts asking her to do things she's not comfortable with, or he starts asking her, confiding in her and saying, nobody else has ever understood me. This is what I love to do. Do you want to do this with me? It would make me very happy. These are all the things that he begins to do with her, right? He's reeling her in. All the while, little by little, he's also tearing her down. Why? Because she has to have her hair done a certain way. She has to have her nails done a certain way. She has to be tan. She has to be dressed a certain way. And then he buys her things, but when she's bad, then he takes them away. He begins to treat her a little bit more every day like a child, and he isolates her. So the minute you're isolated, cut off from everybody else, the only people that are now around you are his whole entourage and the people that he's literally paid to be around, right? His employees. You're cut off. That's it. You're cut off from the rest of the world. When the minute you are cut off from the rest of the world, you're done. Because now your whole world becomes the narcissist. Your whole world becomes this man. Your whole world becomes this woman. Your whole world becomes this gaslit, off planet, other dimensional realm that is whatever their reality is. Now, one of the things, and we'll probably end up clipping this a little bit here and there, one of the things I want to say very clearly is the reason why he had her making the calls and doing all these things is because this is also what kidnappers or other people do to their victims. They have them perform portions of crimes so that they're in it too. Okay? They have them perform the crimes so that they will be in it too. And that ties you in. So this is why even SAers, even with children, or it doesn't matter, but anybody anytime you're in some sort of long-term SA, they'll have you take pictures or they'll have you record it on your own phone. They'll have you be the one to take the pictures, all of these things, so that when it comes down to it, they can try to claim that it was consensual. And that also adds to your shame, because now you've videoed yourself. Now you've taken pictures of yourself. Now you've done all this stuff to yourself. And so it makes you complicit in theory, and they feel like that they can, and you believe it when you're in the moment, and you really think, even until you get out of it, that you're complicit. Okay. Now, I've talked ad nauseum about the empath and the narc. I've talked ad nauseum about that. Just I will talk again about this, especially after tomorrow's cross, because I have a feeling y'all are gonna that some people are gonna feel even more so like she was complicit in this after Nicole Westmoreland gets done cross examining her, and I have very mixed feelings because I love Nicole as a defense attorney. Ms. Attorney Westmoreland is amazing. She was amazing in the YSL trial, and as was Brian Steele. And so I'm really cross. Like I'm really cross about this. Hey, Goddess Essence Energy. Hey, beautiful. So that's going to be an issue for me. But people are going to feel like they already are. They're already saying, "Oh my gosh!" Like, well, she let them do all these things. Like, how they're ignoring the fact that she's in an altered state of mind because he had her, you know, out of her mind as a kite. Ignoring how the mental and the emotional and the physical and the spiritual breakdown could have happened. But what I want to do now is I want to get into some of the magic. I want to get into some of the S magic and to help you understand how each of these things as they happened, what he was getting from it, and how it was also helping to keep hold over her. Goddess Essence Energy says, I was thinking the same thing, that people don't, to be honest, people don't understand the power dynamics that go on in these relationships. It is very sad. It is very sad. And I just hope nobody ends up like your mama, your sister, none of y'all, none of the females, if you're not a female or you don't yourself or whatever, end up in that situation. Okay, so there was a number of things that were told today, but I want to key on a few things. So allegedly, according to Cassie, Diddy would have these escorts, these male escorts, complete. What did Armand say? Come to America, inside of her. So basically, she was having unprotected relations with these men, random men that they would find on Craigslist. What was that back page or whatever, like anywhere, right? Cowboys for Angels, all these different sites. And they would fly them in to wherever they were, and under the guise of that they were going to be an employee. Now, he would have them come to America inside of her, and then she couldn't go clean up sometimes. She would then transfer that come to America energy, essence, directly to him. Unbelievable. So, but I want to talk about this as an S magic. I couldn't. So let's talk about the male. Oh, God, this is not going to get monetized. The male fluid, from an energetic context. So if you're using, like, if you are doing different esoteric traditions like Tantra, Taoism, and then some occultism from the West, and certain modern day spirituality, these fluids, no matter if it's from like a female or a male, well, female, yes, but males more so, their fluid, of course, is the carrier of life force energy, or half of it. There is a chi, there's a prana, there's a life force energy that is in that fluid. Some systems believe that that fluid is a life essence. In particularly the Taoist and Tantric, it's considered highly potent because it holds the energy of creation, literally capable of creating life. So it is the spark to the catalyst of the egg, right? It is the spark that creates. The two come together, but that life energy creates life, right? Because it can't happen. It ignites. Okay, so there is a fiery essence, right? Of course, masculine, fiery essence to it. And in some traditions, right, they encourage men are encouraged to retain their fluid for inner alchemy and transmutation. Um, and then others, and I think most all different, even if you're doing this for good purposes, there is an energy that is in the big O, right? The release at that moment of that's like this grand extension of your energy, right? That's this like explosion of creative manifestation ready chi or prana. Okay, so there is this energy that's ready. And we have to remember that chi and prana are neutral in nature. What do I mean? Energy is neither good nor bad, it is how one applies it. The essence of manifestation itself, of creation, of creating your life or what have you, is neither good nor bad. At its very essence, the very act thereof, let's just say the practice of manifestation, the practice of prayer, the practice of incantation, the practice of ritual is neither good nor bad. It is the application, whoever you are applying this to, that makes it good or makes it bad. It is not the energy itself. That is very important. I want you all to remember that. That's very important when when trying to assign guilt or blame or shame. That escort that was paid to do what have you, doing an act, the act in and of itself, I'm not going to assign something to it, the actual energy itself, right? So that person was expelling this energy. She's enthralled, although in an altered mind state. So I would say an altered energetic state for her. Now I'm assuming they were too, the men, because I don't think that I would be able to be there knowing that Diddy is like whooping on this girl or whatever, knowing that she's like doped up out of her mind and slathered in baby oil and KY. Like, I probably need to put my freaking Cash App in here, and I'm gonna put my Cash App over on Inspired Heart over on X, because I know darn well this may or may not get um monetized. So if y'all want to donate, that's totally cool. If you want to donate over here on YouTube, there is a link, and there is my Cash App is in the description. And let me just kind of find that really quick because yeah, I'm not sure what's going to happen to this. Um Here's all my things, as a matter of fact. Control C. Let me Control V this. Okay, anyway, yeah. So that's all the ways you can donate to the channel. I would really appreciate it. So the energy itself doesn't know. Like it is what it is. So what happens, right? How is this then used in S Magic? There are very symbolic practices. You can use it as an anointing fluid. Like y'all church folks know, we know about that anointing oil, right? We know about that anointing oil. You could use this as an anointing fluid to seal spells or intentions. There is a power. Remember, this fluid holds the creative spark to life. It does not hold the creative essence of life or the what's needed to literally make life begin, in a way, like the building blocks. But this is the glue, the spark that lights the fire that kicks everything off. So he's having her hold this within her canal, and I have to find different vagine, and then now she's like releasing it. This could be so basically she is releasing from the portal of life. I'll put it in that terminology. And that's the last half of the portal of life, right? Because last portion, because really the portal is really uterus and birth. But symbolically, here it is from the portal of life from her, his partner. This is sealing whatever intention or could be used for doing that. If he were to ingest it, that is symbolically absorbing the other party's life force. If he was ingesting it, it is a form of energetic merging. If he does ingest it, it also can supercharge a manifestation or an intention when done with a conscious consent and sacred ritual. Now, is there conscious consent by him, by the party that was releasing this fluid? Yeah, because he agreed to release it for monetary gain. So that's conscious consent. And he agreed to it prior to him being sent off to the moon, ugged up. Was she in a conscious consent? Interestingly enough, now I'm only speaking energetically. I'm not speaking legally when I say this. So I do not want this clipped up later on and somebody to say, oh, she said that she consented. No. The quote unquote conscious consent by her from an energetic standpoint was this. She got into relationship with him. Whether or not she was manipulated, mind screwed, whatever, being controlled via narcissistic abuse, allegedly, her consent was getting into this relationship. And then the reason why she wanted to do these things, because she wanted to please him. She loved him, crazy as that sounds. That was enough in the energetic realm for consent to this horrific stuff that was going on. In the energetic realm, legally, she was telling him, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this, don't want to do this. I'm just talking energetically. This is how dark magic works. One manipulates one's will. One manipulates another person's will in order to get them to do what they want them to do. What does Goddess Essence say? Using a vessel literally because he has, well, I think it was more than just a fetish or a kink. Hey, Tamika, thank you, because why is no one talking about her giving her? Well, this is what we go, but we're about to get into that too. And I was talking about seminal fluid. I wasn't even talking about her cycle blood. I'm talking about the man's seminal fluid. It's so crazy that's coming up because recently that thing has been it has been very prominent. It's yes, it is coercion. So I just want to let you know from an energetic point of view, even if it's a coerced consent, it's still a consent. If you're in the realm of dark magic, because dark magic doesn't care whether or not you openly, willingly, wantingly concede and consent. You just need to consent. Thank you to all 100. We got 136 people watching between X and YouTube. Thanks to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you all. Appreciate you all a lot. Thank you guys so very much. I appreciate you completely. Let me go to my profile. Let me make sure that I've got this on over here. Oh, I really need to update my Durham profile, child. Okay, hang on. I gotta be sure because I want to see. I want to be able to see any chats, but I guess I'm not gonna be able to. All right, here we go. Let's talk about the next part, shall we? Let's talk about the next part. I want you to understand, because at first, like, we're just thinking, oh my gosh, he likes to be he likes to be a cuck, right? Cuckold. He likes to be voyeur. He likes all this stuff. But understand that seminal fluid is energetically extremely potent, especially in the occult. Um, and if you have the intention of using this for power, for control, for whatever sadistic reasons there is, that it's just going to get magnified, right? It just gets tripled, doubled, quadrupled, like quantumly. Okay. And the symbolism sometimes can outweigh the actual action, but he was really into the action. Um, it Coercing someone to do these things, while it can be considered conscious consent, it's also more so considered energetic vampirism and ritual abuse, right? Ritualistic abuse. So with that, let's talk about what else the male fluid can be used for. Okay. Hey V Hargett, how are you? Um, this is We're gonna get into some deep stuff here tonight, guys. And I don't know how long, how y'all, you know, it's all right. I am glad that she made it out alive, because she very well could not have. Thanks, guys. Yeah, this is crazy. Okay. So male fluid, seminal fluid, is a binding agent. If you are walking what they call the left-hand path, or if you're doing dark sex magic with the K, it is believed to carry the will, the intent, and the essence of the man. The will, the intent, and the essence of a man. When deposited inside someone, okay, some people believe that it will imprint the person energetically with the man's dominance or control. It can be used as a form of energetic enslavement, or it can bind the woman's energy to the man's will, especially when she's emotionally vulnerable, traumatized, or dissociated. I find it interesting that there was like, first of all, I'm going to force you to bind yourself to multiple men, because that causes energetic confusion. And because now her energetic field has been invaded by multiple, like, just incredible amount of people in a traumatic and altered mind and energetic state of being. That in and of itself weakens her integrity, her auric or spiritual integrity, makes her much more susceptible to control, to attachment, or to manipulation. And it that multiple men can be used to override her soul's natural alignment to wanting to be with one, right? Women typically want to bond with one man, have at least one man at a time, right? We can't get pregnant by multiple men. That's kind of always been like the running joke. Well, I can't get no more pregnant than I am right now. You know what I'm saying? So, can't get pregnant twice. So we typically want to bond with one man at least throughout the pregnancy. Hey, everybody on X and everybody here on YouTube. We have a total of 147 live viewers across both platforms. You guys share this. Anybody that's really interested in the magic part of this. In fact, I may update my is SX involved. I just updated the title. When you force someone, especially to have multiple partners, you as a woman you're out of alignment. I understand, like, the whole concept of freedom and freedom of choice and, you know, being able to explore and all this stuff. I'm not saying that. I'm not coming at this from a Puritan point of view. What I am saying to you is this, is that when you are forced to have multiple partners, not of your own free will, and you're forced to participate in choosing these partners that you really don't want to sleep with, and you're forced to have intercourse with these partners completely unprotected, and you're forced to have intercourse with partners who do this for a living, so they've had multiple partners. You do realize that every person's energy that you have ever had intercourse with, when you have intercourse with the next person, you two are swapping multiple energies. Like that's legit. Like, especially if they deposit their fluid inside of you. Especially, like, listen, if they're coming to America, honey, and you're a land of the free, home of the brave, you've now bound yourself energetically to that person and to everybody else that they've ever deposited within. You understand what I'm saying? That is going to confuse, especially if you really only want, she kept saying that she only wanted to spend time with Diddy. She didn't want to spend time with, she didn't want all these freak offs. She didn't want all this other extracurricular, but she knew she had to in order to be able to please him. She knew she had to in order to spend time with him. Do you hear what I'm saying? So, that being said, this now is overriding and confusing her soul's natural alignment. Too many energetic signatures here. Her auric field, her energetic field is weakened. Her spirit is weakened. She's able to be controlled, manipulated, and it's going to literally fragment her energetic field because you just input all these imprints and all this energy, right? And then you got to carry in a humiliating fashion. Listen, we're all grown. Okay. So we know as women, if you're not, trying to get preggers, what's the first thing we jump up and do? Now we grown. We go to the where? To the bathroom. Right? We go to the bathroom. It's good for our health as well, right? You're not trying to get pregnant. You go and clean up. We don't need all this stuff hanging around, sitting around, marinating. We go to the bathroom. At least I know. We, if you're not nasty. So instead of going to the bathroom, she got to go basically cross-legged or whatever the case may be and get that over to him. I can't. I can't. I can't. It's like leaving a mark on them energetically. Absolutely. And Goddess Essence says, most definitely, I also feel it allows these men to pretty much intercept your dream or intercept your dream mind space or get into your mind space. It absolutely does, because that's such a high transference of energy. And if you think about it, the dopamine, the oxytocin, all of this, it's just like going like crazy during that moment. Hey Mary, how you doing, darling? Feeding off her energetic blueprint, and he was feeding off theirs. Cesspool of energy, and it's a bombardment to your auric field. Absolutely. Absolutely. So now, let's interject now the urination and degradation as ritualistic tools. Urine is used to symbolize dominance, desecration, or spiritual uncleanliness. It's seen as a way to mark the person, like a dog marks his territory. Everybody, including my good friend Armand, go check out Armand Wiggins, the channel, and check out his live today, yesterday. He'll be there for the trial. So check him out every night after the trial. She kept saying how she felt dirty, how she felt disgusting, how she felt dirty. And I would venture to say unclean. Urine is used for that, right? It's simple to symbolize dominance, desecration, or spiritual uncleanliness. Degradation rituals like that aim to shatter your self-worth and that then weakens resistance to psychic control or spiritual domination. So all of that is not about getting pleasure from it. I mean, I guess you could have some sort of a kink or a fetish on that. I guess that could be part of your deal. But more than not, more likely than not, because he's watching other people do that to her. He's not even doing that to her, allegedly, from what she's testified to. So watching other people desecrate her, literally desecrate and degrade her. That's all that was. And then to like urinate in her mouth, like have the escort, and then he too does it in her mouth so much so that she chokes and almost like, what? Okay. Like to do that, like that is the ultimate form of desecration. And that's also the ultimate form of just like silencing your voice, of impeding your throat chakra, of basically that's almost like a kind of strangulation kind of situation. You understand what I'm saying? We trying to get there. We trying to get there, Goddess Essence. Thank you so much. Thanks, guys, for hanging with me. I appreciate y'all. I really, 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 and truly do appreciate y'all. So much. So I so much. So and I'm gonna put this down here if you guys can, and trying to get to chat. Here we go. All right. Okay. Let's go on. Let's get to the next thing. I have to take little breaks, guys. By the way, I'm sipping tea tonight. Rather than drinking anything else. I'm like sipping tea. I like literally started I've got frankincense going in the corner over there. You can't really see it because it's in the corner. But I gotta find my lighter. Hopefully I have it up here somewhere. I also brought my frankincense. I don't see it. Oh well. I brought my incense over here because it just, you gotta keep it clean. Okay, here we go. So someone is using sex in this way. This is all about control, ownership, and desecration. The goals of doing these things can be many, but they may include these: breaking a person's spirit, siphoning their energy. I think that Armand said something about that it was just like he literally had sucked the energy, the life energy out of this woman. That's definitely the reason why you do this. And you keep her in this altered state so that she can keep going and you can keep harvesting. Eventually, I do believe the reason why he pretty well just had to let her go was after 10 years of this, there's not much more you're going to get. There's just not that much more. And I'm going to guess there was probably some going a little bit cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs as well by this point, because you've been involved in these dark rituals. And from what I understand, there's even darker rituals that he was involved in that Kim Porter knew about. So, but that's a whole nother story. We'll talk about that again another time, but I've talked about it before. So you want to break somebody's spirit, you want to siphon their energy. You can offer their energy, especially sexual and emotional energy, as a sacrifice in ritualistic work, even unconsciously. I'm going to say that again so that you hear me clearly. Someone, if you are not being treated well, or you're in the midst of being with an energy vampire or what have you, or they're just not respecting you, right? Or if you're messing around with somebody that's doing dark magic. And I'm just going to tell you one thing: not all witches, not all warlocks, not all spiritual people, don't all do dark magic. Okay. Not all voodoo, not all hoodoo. They don't all do dark magic. There's certain of them do. And what y'all might not want to recognize, there's a lot of Christians running around here doing dark magic too, but they might not realize it. But I'm gonna say that for another day for y'all, because we're gonna get in on the Pope too. See, we're gonna get in on him. We're gonna get in on all these other preachers that do all this dark stuff behind the scenes. They're actual predators just like him. Only they get up in your pulpit every Sunday and speak to you. I'm off the beaten path. You can offer up somebody's energy as an offering. When you read the Greek myths and the gods or whomever like are offering up one of their, Medusa's a great example. I wouldn't say she was offered, but Athena was mad at her because Poseidon, I think it was, right, came and slept with her. And they all supposed to be virgins. So she turned her into Medusa. Or Persephone was going to get sacrificed and given up as an offering so that the seas would calm down, right? And Perseus came and saved her. Look at all that. That's symbolic of what's happening in the spiritual realm. Even offerings in religions like Judaism or Muslim religion, or, well, I mean, I imagine there's some offerings in other, religions. I don't, and there in some ancient Kemetic religions, there are offerings. If you're doing offerings on your altar to your ancestors and whatnot, that is a physical representation of a spiritual truth. So what this is doing is literally taking the spiritual energy, that's what we're after anyway, the spiritual energy, and making it an offering in a ritualistic fashion. And if you're doing this in an unconscious manner, that means that you know that you get a high from doing this and you feel more powerful. It just makes you, right? And all of a sudden you could do this and you could do that, you could do this, but you want more and you want more and you want more. You're making this offering and it's now ritual to you. And it creates extreme soul ties that bind that person to the abuser. Okay? Now, beyond this, there has to be an extreme narcissistic, sadistic, or sociopathic behavior dynamic. Extreme. This is not your just running the mill narc. You ain't just running up on this mother trucker like, on the street corner. Like, I've been in a relationship with plain narcissists. I ain't never ran up on nobody like this. So this is an extreme narcissistic, or they're sadistic, or they're sociopathic, or all the above. Okay. The person may be using the ritualized humiliation and trauma bonding to keep that victim attached until they don't need them anymore. This forced sharing, quote unquote, with others is like, it basically does this emotional splitting and this isolation. Like, in the depths of all of this, she didn't contact anybody, like, because I can't even imagine how she's talking about this on the stand. Like, how are you even talking about this on the stand? Like, I don't even know if I'd have the strength. So you're extremely isolated. You don't want to tell anybody this is what's going on. You're shamed. But you're caught in this like weird gaslight, shaming, harming, completely like cyclical gaslighting, love bombing, shaming, harming, love bombing, gaslighting, like this horrible cycle. And then at some point, the love bombing just kind of stops because you're so sucked in that you just don't even need the love bombing anymore, because you're not going anywhere, because you've been so much physically, emotionally, sexually, and other abused. And you are so financially dependent and so scared Fear is an extremely strong emotion to use in dark magic as well. Having that level of control over somebody is extremely powerful. So all of these things put together make you this perfect, consistent, and constant sacrifice until you're no longer good to them. So emotional splitting, the dissociativeness and all that. And it can also, in some cases, make people themselves a narcissist in order to survive. But that's a different kind of narcissism, right? That's just like kind of more split personality, right? And then also it can be a method of enacting, like if there's specific fantasies about ownership or disempowering other people. So if he felt that he was disempowered by his mother, it could have been a way to get, it could be like this word sick. I don't know. I have no idea. Okay. I'm going to talk about a few things, and then I want to talk about the cycle while she's on her menstrual. Yeah, and then we're gonna kind of wrap this up a little bit. Just about an hour. I did pretty good. All right, from an energetic perspective, menstrual blood is traditionally regarded as like the most potent life force because it is literally the shedding of the uterine wall, which is the carrier, the incubator, the literal ground in which life is sown and then grows from, if you want to think of it in that way. It symbolizes creation, transformation, and power. For her, it appears this was used as a methodology of domination and control. Of domination and control. Of degradation, again, of stripping away any sacredness. Right? You no longer, because that is a sacred time. Like, I know that there are some women, and I'm not shading you if this is you, so don't take it wrong. But let me tell you something. When I was having that time, thank the Lord that ain't happening no more. When I was having that time, don't come near me, don't touch me. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Don't touch me. Get away from me. Like, this is my rejuvenation time. And it's not necessarily comfortable. But that's the last thing that I ever wanted, was to have an actual encounter with anybody. And if, a man was like, oh, I don't mind, you're nasty, and I don't want nothing to do with you because you're nasty. I mean, you're nasty. You're nasty. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm no shade. If that's what y'all into, that's cool. But to me, I'm just saying, you're nasty. I couldn't do it. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. So to force her to do this 4 weeks out of the month, darn near 365 days of the darn year, day after day, night after night, keeping her hyped on substances and all kinds of stuff. And this whole scene of fluids, because of the baby oil and the KY or Astroglide or whatever they was using. Because I thought about this. If you're using baby oil, like, you can get like infections from using baby oil. That's not something that you really should be using for actual purposes. Like, you could get infections from that. Like, no shade. So anybody that doesn't know that, I hope I'm helping you out now. Don't use that as a lubricant. That's not what that's meant for. Okay, that's meant for skin. That's not meant for entrances. Okay. But you have all of this kind of like getting flung around. And then you have like, I can't even imagine being the escort at this point, like doing this with her while she's on her cycle. I can't even be imagine being the escort. Like, I don't think there's enough money in the world at that point. I can't imagine. And so she's talking about how she tried to put plastic over furniture because there was, and that time plus involved. So this is not only the ultimate humiliation and degradation, this is literally violating her at her most sacred time other than pregnancy. This is literally a woman's kind of most sacred time other than when she's pregnant. This is the most potent life force. This is why when we I mean, I don't know, again, I know this is just a black folk thing, as much as we might want to say we don't know nothing about hoodoo and voodoo, like we grew up with these practices because hoodoo is ours, right? And as well as other indigenous practices because we're from here. And so, you know how we would tell our sons, don't eat a woman's spaghetti unless you've seen her make it. Because what do we like? This was passed down. I don't care how holy, I don't care what holiness church you went to. I don't care if you ran around the church. I don't care. And, snatched your wig off. I don't care if you danced up and down the aisle with a 2-step and a 4-step. I bet you 10 to 1, you done heard more than once. People tell, especially them boys, don't eat no woman's spaghetti unless you've seen her make it from start to finish. Why? Because if we knew, we was told from our mamas, our grandmamas, and all them, that if she put some of that blood in that spaghetti sauce, that was going to do what? That was going to bind you to her. That's her putting her life force and energy into you, sir, ma'am. Like I still to this day, if it's not a relative of mine, like I still look at it funny. I can't help it. And I know ain't nobody running around here doing that kind of blood magic. But blood magic is real. And blood magic can do a whole lot. Like you could curse that blood and then that other person ends up with a physical problem or whatever other kind of problem. That blood magic is probably, I would say, the strongest. You don't need my tea. Is the strongest magic, dark magic that you can have. And by him having that you can perform, and by him having her do this, this was a horrible degradation of her. Complete domination, a perversion of this natural bodily function because we are not meant to be having anything enter us during this time period. This is a cleansing time for us, right? It's a subjugation. Okay. Let's see. Okay. We talked about that. It carries, so the blood itself carries creation energy, cycle based wisdom. So knowing when to do something, like knowing the cycles and when it's the optimal time for you to do something, enter into a business, drop a track, do something, and the power of being able to transform yourself. So the power of transformation. It has been used properly to bless land, anoint sacred tools, and consecrate altars. Okay. However, the offerings itself, they are used to empower sigils, petitions, what have you. You can put a drop of blood on something, herbs, light it, do whatever. This is why, y'all might not realize the real significance of communion, because symbolically, the wine, grape juice, whatever it is you drinking, what do you say? That this is the blood of Christ. You are symbolically ingesting, so energetically, you are transmuting that liquid. I'm gonna leave that alone. Y'all not ready for that. Um, Manifestation. So you can mix this with herbs or oils to amplify the intentions. You can do this during. Most of us have. Well, when I was, a lot of times our cycles are linked up to one of the lunar um, cycles. Usually, I know we link up and sync up with each other, but for me, mine was always synced with the new moon. Crazy as it might sound, mine was always synced up with the new moon. If you all think about it, some of y'all might be synced up with the new moon, some of y'all might be synced up with the full moon. But if you think about it, you probably stop, because it's supposed to be it's every 28 days. It's not 30. Then get down. I can't stop it. That's my cat Gemini. So y'all who don't do that, for the knock over my monitor. Um, so if you can collect it during specific phases, you can correspond it with those intentions, right? So if you want to amplify the new moon, you can use that in your rituals. You amplify the full moon, you use that in the rituals. There are actual rituals for the other phases of the moon as well. Or you literally can use it for anointing purposes, to anoint yourself or others for empowerment, reclamation, or protection. And that's just now. On the dark side of it, there's something called blood binding. So you can mix it with food or drink. And that's for energetic manipulation or domination, or a psychic and emotional bond. You could use it as a tool of humiliation, as a desecration ritual. You can drain a woman's energy by having her do this. So her doing this was literally draining her of all of her energy in that moment, in those days where she was not allowed to rejuvenate herself. Okay. And by her not actually consenting and actually wanting to do these acts, that's what puts it on the dark side. Remember, energy is energy. Remember what I said at the top of this whole thing, the top of the hour. Energy is energy. It doesn't know good nor bad. It just knows that it is. It is how you utilize that energy that makes things evil or make things good. Okay? This is what was being done during these freak offs. All right. Now, I never like to just leave things in a way that's like, well, how can you heal from this? This type of from what I got from Armand, let me just put it this way. I'm not sure, and I know my friend very well. He's a very good judge of character and energy, and like really assessing where somebody is energetically. There is probably still a part of her, because so much of her had been taken away and used by this man. There's probably still a part of her that is like soul tied to him. I think that the only reason she was able to get away is because she has her now husband, who wasn't like enamored with and enthralled with and whatever, like wasn't as tied to Diddy as everybody else, wasn't dependent upon him for his livelihood, and just honestly was sent by God, sent by creator, sent by the universe to come help save her. because he showed her true love and gave her a true way out and was willing to stand up and say, if you go, I go, I will protect you. And that's just, I can't imagine him sitting there having to listen to this and recount this all. I'm pretty sure he probably knew a lot of it anyway. Um, but there's gonna be still something like you don't go through that for 10 years. And I don't know what she's gone through as far as healing is concerned. And maybe she's cleared herself, but I just have this weird feeling that somehow she's still tied. And because that's a very tight tie. That's not something that just goes away. And because of the soul fragmentation of the years and years of all these different people and basically everybody knowing and like it's so much. There's a deep and a long term probably reclamation of power, an energetic reclamation, a reclamation of her soul sovereignty and her soul restoration. I think I think this is her second child, right? So I'm very happy for that reason that she is pregnant. If this is her second child, if it's first, even better. But um, that expression of her womanhood, of her motherhood, of her feminine essence, I think is beautiful and it's wonderful and it is a miracle that she's able to. I mean, I can't even. A lot of women that would have undergone this type of abuse would never be able to conceive. So the fact that she's been able to do this and carry babies to the full term, I think is just tremendous. And I'm very happy and I'm sure that that's helped a lot. Um, but there are, definitely healing rituals. Um, and, with water and salt, a black candle and a white candle for dark and light integration. Um, you could use a strand of your hair or even a drop of your own blood to help you represent like your womb in your sacred space and you can call the energy back to you. I mean, there's specific rituals that can be done and prayers that can be prayed and remember any prayer, any ritual, any incantation that's done is the physical manifestation or the physical representation of what's being done in the spiritual. And so these things can happen. And I hope that she is that I'm going to certainly pray a prayer of protection for her. Anybody that's listening and that believes in her, I would love for you to do the same. Please do. And because she's going to need it tomorrow, because now she's going to have to kind of be on the defensive defending what really wasn't even her fault to begin with. But there are ways to reclaim this back. There are ways to cut the soul ties. There are ways to put the puzzle pieces back together. But I think we're just scratching the surface. Now we're just hearing about the actual stuff. We know that, we hear that Kim Porter and her both had to give up their blood for specific reasons, for other reasons, and not even in this realm. So I that just a whole other thing. And I doubt that they're going to get to that for this trial because that would be too much. Like that, I can't see the federal government doing that. And maybe someday we'll find out all. But I know that he has a tattoo that I think I looked at and looked up a lot when I did a few streams on Diddy when all this all first like went down, and then when they raided the houses, and we were talking about like he's got a huge tattoo on his back, and so I have no doubt in my mind that all of this was a part of some sort of dark like some sort of ritual, like I offering to something. I'm just glad that she's been able to kind of to bring herself back. But also, Armand said she's broken. Like she's still broken. And so my hope for her is that she's still that this helps her to in her reclamation process and her soul regeneration process and her soul healing process, um, and that she continues on that path of healing and wholeness. This has been, I want to say fun, but it kind of has because it's been a while. I'm very glad to have been able to be here with y'all tonight. Just over an hour. I'll download this and then we'll chop it up, I guess, and we'll put it into pieces. But I want to thank you. After tomorrow night, once she gets done and once I'm done with my class, I'll come on and we'll talk about the other side and see if I can glean anything else. And then we'll come on sporadically and talk about what we're hearing from the trial. And we'll talk about a few other things that I need to talk about, such as like the Pope and like who they elected as their Pope is kind of insane. Talk about some more of the misconduct by Christian ministers and pastors and high-powered prophets. Both carnally and let's just say pretending that there's something that they're not. Um, and then I think I want to talk a little bit about in times. There's a lot of stuff that's been going on that I think that we need to have a discussion about. So until next time, peace, love, blessings, and joy be unto you today, tomorrow, and for all eternity. I love you guys very, very much. Namaste. Bye, gang.